Hey everyone, so I'm playing around with AI agent stuff like everyone else, and I'm trying to see what stuff I could automate. So there is still the question of whether it should be automated, but anyway, here we go. So I invite people onto Scaling Dev Tools podcast, so founders and stuff. And a lot of the way I do that is just by Twitter. So let me just like go to Twitter and start like scrolling and like just, refresh. Okay, so let's say I've already had James, Sam, Lambert. Let's see if someone's saying anything interesting that we want to talk to. Okay, so maybe like okay, wait, you know what? I'm gonna invite Matt Carey because he's a great guy and he is very obsessed with agents. So I want to know more about agents on the podcast, and he hosts this great podcast. Okay, so let me just open up my voice agent. It's just running in a browser right now, but it could be running in Zoom or whatever. Okay, can you invite Matt Carey from Stack One onto the podcast to talk about agents? I know Matt, so you can be very familiar with him. We're both in London, and I kind of want to hear about like what are the coolest dev tools that are out there for building with agents.
Okay, I found Matt Carey. He's an AI engineer at Stack One and also organizes meetups in London. I'll try to find his email, not in the address book. I'll try to find his email using the email finder. I'll use stack1.com as the domain. Okay, I found Matt's email address, m@stack1.com. Now I'll send him an email inviting him to the podcast.
Okay, I'm just going to stop that for a second. And then, okay, so right now, like it's just saving that into a database because I'm not actually emailing him, and that's not Matt's real email. At least I hope it isn't. So we should see it in here. Oh no, we didn't. Why didn't we see it? Okay, wait, let me just run this again just to see, because I don't know why it didn't work. Okay, so can you invite Matt Carey from Stack One? I know him well. He's a great guy. We're both in London, and he's obsessed with agents, runs loads of AI meetups, and I want to invite him on to talk about all the tools for agents that are being built right now and what his favorite ones are.
Okay, it looks like the domain is stack1.com. Okay, I've got Matt's email. Now, to craft a personalized email. All right, I've sent the email to Matt. Hopefully he'll be keen to come on the podcast.
Okay, so this time it did send it. So Skin Dev Tools podcast invite. It says, "Hey Matt, hope you're doing well. It's Jack Bridger here. I'd love to invite you onto Skin Dev Tools podcast. Given your obsession with agents and the AI meetups around London, I think you'd be a perfect guest to talk about the current landscape of tools for agents and your favorite ones." It's written in American style, so maybe I need to add a prompt in that. As you know, as a fellow English guy, I think you might be like offended by that. Let me know if you're interested. Okay, cool. All right, so let me show you how this works under the hood. So it's basically using two main tools, Layercode and Mastra. I'm going to start with Mastra. So let me pull up. Mastra has this amazing dashboard thing. And so I can ask the same. This is me speaking with my agent, my Scaling Dev Tools agent. You can kind of see the prompts that I've got here for the agent. And so I could ask the same thing. Can you invite Matt Carey from Stack One and to talk about AI agents and his favorite tools? We know each other well in London. Okay, so if I send this is basically what's happening without the voice stuff. So this is just the chat. So Mastra, so you can see there's like a web search tool. So it's using a web search tool, and it's made a query with Matt Carey, Stack One founder. So it assumes founder because I've put that in a prompt and I didn't tell it otherwise. So because Matt's not the founder, I don't know if it's going to find him. Okay, no, but it did. It says CFP profiles of Matt Carey. The most relevant seems to be Matt Carey, founding engineer, Stack One. So it tries to see, I've got this like address lookup tool, which is just like a JSON object of like, if I already knew them, I had their email saved, and it's probably not going to find it because there is no one. And then then it uses my like API finder for like one of these like hunter things, and it's not real right now. It could be, but it's just returning like M at company name. And then it drafts and writes the email. So a lot is fake because it's just like no need to really send the email. And it's just a kind of demo. So it's not very complicated, but it's even less complicated to build. And I think that the agent stuff is really surprisingly easy. Okay, so let me show you what this actually looks like in Mastra. So if I go to Mastra, you can kind of see most of this already. Sorry, wrong one, SCT agent. So you can see it's basically just a prompt. Maybe this is big enough. Oh wait, hang on, I've got the zoom stuff anyway with the screen sharing tool. Okay, so it basically is like you are an AI activated voice agent, and then it gives like a workflow for finding an email contacts. It tells the tools that are available, so it's like web search tools, search the web for information, address lookup, check your known contacts, email finder, find emails people not in your address book, send emails, and tips like be precise with names, search first to get the exact spelling, for company domains, search plus add like plus dev, because lots of companies are called like, say like autumn, you're not going to find it unless you put dev because it's just too common of a word. Email should be casual, mention why you're interested in the DevTools story. Subject line should be casual, blah, blah, blah. So it's like kind of, not very complicated prompt. And then you just give it these tools. And that's really it. You don't need to do like the loop. You don't need to say like, first do this. You just describe what you want to happen and you kind of give it tips as if you were giving this task to like an actual human. And then you just give these tools and you can go look at one of the tools. This is my like, save my eyes. So if we go to one of these tools, the web search tool, then we can see we just have like, we set Zod for like the inputs and the outputs of how we expect the data back and how we should give the data. So in this case, like search queries and count number of results to return. We kind of give it a name, export it, and then we just bring it into that agent. And so this just makes an API call to Brave to get like web search results. Braves are really nice, by the way, and they have like 1,000 free queries. Not sure if it's a month or like just in general, but it's been great for demo stuff. And then we have like, another one is like a site scraper, just like returns the text from a web page, and they're not AI stuff, these ones typically. And yeah, so these are tools, and then it kind of just works. It's really, really nice. So that's kind of how the agent side of it works, and thinking you could build so many different things that this could do. And then to connect it up to the audio, I'm using something called Layercode, which is, if I go to the actual home page, it's like, what they do is they like help you to kind of stitch together all the things you need. So like the speech to text, turn taking, text to speech. So you basically just need to build like the chat side of your agent like we just did, and then you can just like really easily turn it into voice. And they give you like the kind of, you saw like this thing essentially that is really, really easy to build, which is like their quick start. And then you just like you add like your pipeline. So anyway, let me show you the what it looks like inside the dashboard. So you create a pipeline, and so I've got different pipelines here. So it's the one I'm doing, and I can select like if I want to use like DeepGram for transcription, which model I want to use, the text to speech. I've just kept it as a default, so work well. And then you put your webhook URL, which I'll kind of explain. I've just put ngrok because I'm running it locally. So what you do is, if I go to the Layercode side of things, I've got two different endpoints. I've got authorize and agents. I won't dwell on the authorized one because really it's just like it just sends back like kind of a session token to your browser, to your client side, so that and just like so that it can interact directly with Layercode. And then the agent is where some stuff can happen, but actually for me, very little is really happening here. It verifies that it's basically like you give this endpoint to Layercode, and Layercode, when a message is received, they will hit this endpoint with the text that was received by the user. So in this case, you would have received a message, a request from Layercode saying, hey, please reach out to Matt Carey from Stack 1. And you get it like this, just from the request body. And then what I do is, like, most of this stuff is not that relevant. We push it into like the message history, and then we send those messages to my agent, which is Mastra, so STD agent from Mastra, and I get back a text stream, and then I can, that's like what my Mastra agent replies with the response, and that's how, because it's streamed, you get like this sort of like thinking, you can hear the thinking that's like, I found his email, which I think is nice, and then we use their like we use Layercode's function here to send text to speech of the text stream we get back from Mastra, and that's pretty much it. So that's all I did. I just kind of basically with this line, I just switched it out from their example, and then I can just do all my agent stuff with Mastra and just display it out with Layercode, and it becomes voice. And then the only other thing that would just maybe say is that because I want this this /agent endpoint to be reachable by Layercode, which is running in their server. On their server, I just use ngrok to, you just do ngrok HTTP 3001, where the port that it's running on, and then you just put that in to here, which I won't click because you will see my my key. So so that's how this works, and I think there's a lot more that you could do here. This is just a very simple example of things that you could do, but I'm already imagining all these cool things that you could do, and you could have it like during your Zoom call, and you could be like having a meeting, and then just be like, oh hey, can you just like go do this thing, and then it could do it, and you wouldn't even have to like be interrupted. So I think it's really cool. I want to keep dabbling with all this stuff. Let me know what you think. And I'm going to put the repo online if you want to tear it to pieces. Thanks.